Hey, friend. I feel like there's a part of you that thinks because you're surrounded by people who seem emotionally regulated, they seem to be making progress, they seem to be able to handle life and all the difficulties that come with it. You're looking around and you're thinking, but what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure it out? Why can't I just face it? Why can't I just handle the responsibilities? Why do I buckle under pressure? Why do I shut down? Why do I get so easily overwhelmed? I know I'm speaking about I know it because I've been in it. Okay. What needs to happen? First of all, there's nothing wrong with you. There's a set of circumstances that you've experienced in your life that have set you up to not be able to tolerate um, a lot of difficult things because you've already been through a lot of difficult things. And so your system, I don't want to refer to the nervous system, but that is what I'm referring to. But your system, your mind is already like, I've been through so much. I can't tolerate anymore. And you might not be able to perceive the things that you've been through as emotionally overwhelming and stressful. But they were, but they were. And it's important that you be able to recognize that because all trauma doesn't look the same, all stress doesn't look the same, and how we tolerate that stress, the factors that give us a sense of emotional resilience to be able to navigate those stressors, it differs from person to person. So you can't be like, oh, but but that person went through so much worse than I did. Like it's not a comparison game. We are just trying to figure out how we can get by, how we can move forward with the tools that we have in hand. So I just wanted to share with you, first of all, that it's not you. There is nothing fundamentally wrong with you. You just need to find ways to increase your capacity to tolerate difficult emotions, um, you know, overwhelming stimuli in the world and in your personal experience. Personally, I like to keep it simple. One is just breathing deeply and placing my hands on my chest. That one, low effort. I don't have to remember a ton of steps. I can just adding to that, reassurance. So I will speak to myself. It's okay. I might speak to myself or I might pray. Depends on the day I'm having, the space I'm in, or what I feel is necessary in that moment. Or I might sit down and journal, get it out of my head, and that will create a sense of objectivity. So if I am feeling overwhelmed about a project or I am feeling anxious about a social gathering, I find it really helpful to just write it down on paper. I'm feeling really anxious and I'm afraid that people are going to judge me. I am feeling nervous and I have feared that I might say too much or say the wrong thing. And I'll get it out and like I'm getting anxious as I'm saying that. But I will get it out on paper and I will look at it. And for some reason, it stops the racing thoughts in my head, which usually lead to a shutdown, and I just can't get up after that, and I just can't get up and do anything. I tend towards being in a arousal state where I just like don't have the energy, and it looks like depression. It looks like being dissociated. It looks like being numb, but really I'm just so stressed and overwhelmed and there's so much overthinking that's happening in my head that my body just goes into a shutdown response to just like conserve energy. I want to like explain it in more scientific terms, but that might not benefit us. But yeah, so those are like a couple of really accessible ways that I help myself reframe some of the things that I'm going through, especially like just recognizing that I had to go through so much of it alone. So much of it has been overstimulating and overwhelming because I've been isolated in a lot of ways. And so that those things that happen, that the circumstances that lead to neglect, abandonment, isolation in early childhood, all of those things carries a residual impact. And sometimes it might look like just being easily overwhelmed by regular normal life, which other people seem to find easy and like not overwhelming at all. And yeah, I'm just, don't be demystified by that sense of overwhelm. It is a normal response. It is a normal and predictable response from an overburdened and over, how do I say, like an overly exhausted nervous system that is trying to handle your survival, your coping strategies, trying to get you through each and every moment with an awareness of the past and trying to predict the future to make sure that, you know, the traumatic things don't happen again. And it's trying to do disaster management while also trying to live just like a normal life. So you have to give yourself grace. You have to understand and move with a frame of reference of where you've come from. Yes, also like where you're going and where you're trying to go, but move with a frame of reference of where you're coming from, and not in a way where it limits your identity, not in a way that limits you or confines you to the past, but in a way that says, I understand. If nobody else gets it, I get it, and I have my own back, and it's okay. I'm gonna be okay. God loves me. I'm not alone. Yes, things might be overwhelming, but I can handle it. I will be okay. Finding ways to accommodate yourself, to be self-compassionate, to figure out how to soothe some of those feelings or sensation of overwhelm by practical ways. So maybe maybe you can do accessible study techniques if it's studying. Maybe you can find ways to simplify tasks. Maybe you can find ways to ask for support. Maybe you can change your environment or like put in reward systems in place. So like these are practical ways, but a lot of the times it is just creating internal space for those feelings to come up, creating a positive reframe and just greeting yourself with self-compassion in order for those feelings to just move through. They just sometimes just need to be witnessed and acknowledged. And yeah, and in order to just allow more room for peace. Anyways, I am rooting for you literally always. Please don't stop doing this work. You are absolutely worth it, and it does get better. It does have an effect. It might not feel like it. Again, on the day-to-day, it might not feel like it's making a massive difference. But some of the tools I've suggested today, they do make a massive difference sometimes on the day-to-day. In the grand scheme of things, you might not feel like it's changing a lot, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of change that is happening. How you're able to navigate social situations, not running away from opportunities because they feel too big or too overwhelming, stepping out of your comfort zone, or you're stepping out of your survival zone, which is, some people perceive it as a comfort zone. Sometimes it's your survival zone. It's like, this is as much stress as I can tolerate, and that's it. I ain't got no more to give. Sometimes that's really it. But you being able to love on yourself, to be compassionate with yourself, to be kind and loving. I said that already, but I want to say it again. But you being able to be compassionate with yourself is what makes the difference. The tools, the resources, the therapeutic approaches, all of the things, those will come. Some of them you will be able to apply successfully and you'll be able to move through, but how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself, are you able to witness yourself when you are feeling weak and when you're feeling like you don't deserve to be loved, you don't deserve to be held or spoken to with compassion. You know, sometimes when people have rejected us, we only know how to reject ourselves. We only have a program that says, like, self compassion isn't going to get me where I need to go. I need to be mean. I need to be harsh. I need to judge. I need to critique so I can, like, get myself moving. But, honey, tough love is not love to somebody who hasn't been cared for and well loved. It just comes off as cruelty. So start with self compassion, and I promise you, you won't even have to do the toughness part because you'll start building the emotional bandwidth to actually hold the discomfort. Because the guilt that you're experiencing, I know I thought I was going to end this video soon, but there's this guilt that you've been experiencing because you see such a wide gap between what you want to do practically on a day-to-day and what you're physically able to actually execute on. You have this grand vision and you have the steps and it looks like what you should be able to do, but you can't physically get yourself to do it. That guilt should tell you that it's something that you already want to do. And if you had the capacity to do it, you'd already have gotten it done because you want to do it. But you're not able to because there's something that's happening internally that's not allowing you to physically execute on the plans that you have. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to like have pressure, to have these visions, but you also have to bring yourself into the equation. You have to bring your past into the equation. You have to bring what's happening internally for you that's disrupting your capacity to execute. And with that in your frame of reference, now you have to like make accommodations for yourself. You have to treat yourself like someone you care about, who you are rooting for, who you actually want to see winning. And sometimes you do have to like gently be like, no, we're gonna step forward. It's okay. You gotta like be the one to give yourself that push. But a lot of the times, I promise you, it is just a matter of witnessing yourself, of being self-compassionate, of opening up the room or the mental space, creating space for the awareness to come into your mind. And like creating space for the awareness to come to you as to what you need, how you can accommodate yourself, how you can speak more lovingly to yourself. So anyways, let me wrap this up. But the bottom line is be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Know that you are worthy of taking the time to actually heal, to understand yourself, to reparent yourself as much as you need. And self-care isn't selfish. It is absolutely necessary, and it does have an impact, and that impact will last, and it will echo and resound throughout your life, like even to people who encounter you, people in your family. It will, like, let's not even go that far, but you yourself will feel more congruent and aligned with yourself, with your own values, so long as you're not dismissing yourself and just being mean and critical. Because that gap of guilt, like both the gap of that's filled with guilt, as soon as you fill it with self-compassion, the gap starts to narrow. It's gradual, but it starts to narrow. That sense of like my vision versus my execution, it doesn't match. It's not aligned. And all in here is like guilt and self-criticism and shame and doubt and fear. And the more space you can create to bring your awareness towards and into yourself lovingly, with kindness and compassion, the more that gap begins to close, because you're like, oh, I'm a worthy and deserving human. Let me see what I can do to act in my own best interest. And you have more mental bandwidth. You might even have more physical energy because you're not so bogged down by the emotional strain of and overwhelm of feeling like you're failing at everything, and this massive to-do list and these demands that you're placing on a cup that isn't adequately filled. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. Just know that I'm rooting for you. You are loved. Remember to be kind and compassionate to others, but most importantly, to yourself. Okay. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in a future video. Do all the things underneath the video so you see my face again. Okay. Okay, love you. Bye.